You finally have an afternoon with nothing on it. No meetings, no deadlines, nothing that actually needs you. And you can't just be. So you pick up your phone and then your mind jumps to the little things that you could be doing, and a low hum of guilt sets in for resting when there's technically work to do. Sound familiar? Well, here's what's actually happening. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that rest is something you earn, that you're allowed to stop only after everything is done. And honestly, everything is never done. If that's you, you're in the right place. Hi, friend. I'm Christina Ryan. I help people quiet the lies running underneath the noise so that they can live and lead on purpose from the light within. And this is Summer on Purpose. We're in week 9. We've just moved into the last stretch of our summer together, and I'm calling it the renewal phase. The root phase, which was at the beginning, was about who you are. Then came our relationships phase, which was about the people in your life. And now renewal is about rest and direction. Getting your feet back underneath you before we head into the holidays. And today we begin with rest. Not the kind that you collapse into on a Sunday night because your body finally quit, but the kind that you choose on purpose. And if you stay with me, you'll walk away with 3 keys. Why you don't have to earn rest, what an actual practice of rest looks like, and what rest gives back that striving never will. There's a reflection guide for this week too, and as always, it's linked in the description below. Here's our first key. You don't have to earn rest. Let's go back to the beginning, like the very beginning. Like in the beginning, God created. The author and perfecter spent 6 days working. He separated light from darkness. He shaped the sky, the land, the seas, and then he filled them with plants and trees and sun and moon and stars and every living creature, from the fish in the water to the birds in the air to the animals on the ground. And then he made man and woman in his image. He looked at all of it and called it very good. And then came day 7. And what did the Creator create next? Rest. He blessed that day and made it holy. God, who doesn't get tired, stopped. Not because he needed it, but because he was setting a pattern for the people he loved. The people created in his image. And friend, that includes you and me. So if you've been waiting until you've done enough before you let yourself stop, look at the model. God didn't treat rest as a reward that he handed out once the work was finished. He actually built it into the design and made it holy. Rest was never something that you earn your way into. It's something that you were made for. But a pattern only changes your life if you actually build it into your week. Which brings me to the second key. Rest, well, it's a practice. And that is what Sabbath is. We treat rest like an accident or something that's forced upon us, something that happens to us when we finally run out of gas. But the rest that God designed, it wasn't accidental. It's kept. Sabbath was the practice of stopping one day, set apart, on purpose, every week. Not a suggestion, but a rhythm woven into how his people were supposed to live. And here's the part that we miss. When Jesus was challenged about the Sabbath, he reframed the whole thing. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Rest was never a rule meant to burden you. It was a gift built for you. Admittedly, I've gotten it wrong so many times what rest truly means. I thought it meant that you just shouldn't work. I've also justified watching television or scrolling on social media as rest. And while, yes, I may not be doing anything, it's not really what God had in mind. True rest is rest from meaningless striving. It's reflecting and releasing control. It's actually exercising our faith muscles and trusting the story that God is writing. So a practice of rest doesn't have to be complicated. It's choosing a stretch of time, an evening, a morning, a full day, and protecting it. No output and nothing to prove, just space that you don't have to justify. For some of you, that's a whole day. For some of you right now, it may be 2 hours or 5 minutes. But start with what's real and start keeping it on purpose. And when you start keeping that space, something happens that you can't manufacture any other way. And that brings us to our third key. Rest restores what striving drains. When you don't stop, you don't notice how depleted that you've gotten. You just quietly lower the bar for what normal feels like. Tired becomes the baseline and foggy becomes another Wednesday. Rest isn't a nicer word for doing nothing. It's restoration, the kind that refills what the last few months emptied. Listen to how Jesus says it. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. He doesn't say, come once you've caught up. He says, come weary, come burdened, come as you are, and I'll be the one who restores you. There's a line in Psalm 23 that people quote without hearing it. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Makes me. Sometimes the most faithful thing rest does is stop us before we ever stop ourselves. And this is the whole point of renewal. You can't begin fall on empty and call it purpose. Rest is what turns your light back on so you have something to give when that holiday pace picks back up. Before we close, I have one honest question. When was the last time that you rested without earning it first? And I don't mean the kind where you collapse on the couch and scroll, but the kind where you actually let yourself stop and you let go. Sit with that for a second and take the truth that I want you to carry out of this episode. Rest isn't what you earn when the work is finished. It's what makes you be able to do the work in the first place. I put that truth in a few questions to help you find your own rhythm this week in the Week 9 Reflection Guide. So, if you've been running on fumes and calling it dedication, will you hear me? You're not behind for needing to stop. And you're not lazy for resting. You're human. And you were built for a rhythm that includes rest. The light in you isn't gone. It's just been running without a recharge. So this week, plug into the source and let it come back on. Which brings me to this week's challenge. 1 full day, unplugged, but plugged into the source. screens off, the to-do list set down, and one day kept on purpose. Do it solo or do it as a family. And if a whole day feels impossible right now, well, that's okay. Take the biggest piece of one you can protect, and then tell me how it went. Share it with hashtag Summer on Purpose. I read each one. The Week 9 Reflection Guide is free. It'll help you build a rhythm of rest that actually fits your life. You can grab it at the link below. If this is your first time here, subscribe and stay with us. You can even go back to the beginning and watch a few of the other episodes. We've got a few weeks left in Summer on Purpose, and I don't want you to miss them, friend. Next week, we move from rest to reflection. What summer showed you? We'll look back at what this summer has been teaching you and what's worth taking into the fall. Until then, live and lead from the light within. I'll see you next week.